Hey, what's going on, guys? Aaron Trevino here, and we are in Terrell, Texas, just east of Dallas. We're here checking out some hemp, talking about the potential future of construction. So if you're interested in alternative ways of construction aside from lumber, let's check it out, y'all.
Next month, and we're going to do the planning. And so there's a couple of people, the majority of the stuff out here comes from France that people are doing. But there's some folks starting to produce it in the States now. And through different testing, they've decided that they believe it's as good, if not better, than some of the stuff that people are getting from overseas. So back here, just for instance, is going to be one of the locations that we're going to have, and I want to have 20 spots just like this, which backs up to the creek right over here. And then I want everybody to have their own kind of secluded little spot. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of thorns and stuff going on out here, but of course it's going to be cleared out real nice and proper. And then 8 months out of the year, there's creek running. So I'm figuring when people come out, they get a little taste of nature, they get to see all the pretty views, they get to backdoor to the creek right over here, and the idea is each home has a little dugout spot where they have their own pond as well as fresh food. And so I have mixed reviews on it because a lot of people don't recommend bringing non-native species, but in my opinion out here, I want it to be kind of a paradise where people can see their fresh fruit growing. They can see all the different things that can actually come from these sustainable housing. And so as far as the design, I'm really open because in a perfect world, there'll be 5 or 6 different types of buildings out this way. And I'd be mostly advertising for whoever those builders are. So my thing is, with my special needs daughter, I want to make sure that she's taken care of and that the family's taken care of. But it's not about money. It's about showing people what this plant can do, the different things, setting up infrastructure, raising awareness. You see the woods right here. I think it'd be a perfect place to cut through and do some disc golf and, have a little putt-putt course up at the front. My buddy at Hemp Frisbees, we can talk about getting some of that stuff out here. And I don't know, it's just, there's so many cool little projects going on. Setting up as a nonprofit right here is allowing us to access grants that we wouldn't otherwise have access to without being part of the state of Texas or government or police force. But some of my friends are really big into 3D printing, and I think there'd be nothing cooler than being able to set something up and building a 3D house, right here. But it's not about here. It's about this is something that other folks can do. So Icon's doing 3D printing right now. Goodwin Designs, they're doing some 3D printing. My brother does a lot of smaller ones, and he basically said if we can get the funding together, he'll help us build one of the big ones. And I think that'd be neat. I'm open to whatever. Partnering is great, but it's too pretty out here not to share. So I want 10 buildings on this side, I want 10 buildings on the other side of the creek, and I want to keep it as natural as humanly possible. So I'm going to be that weird guy in the woods with a bunch of buildings that people don't even know. As you can see when y'all pulled in, most people don't even know there's a house out here. They're just like, okay, where are we going? We're here, and I don't know, man. Everything about this place feels magical, man. It's a lot darker right now, but when it's light, the biggest selling point for me is this whole place really reminds me of Hawaii. And they have the ka'ava trees out there, and that's actually mesquite, and we have that all throughout the property. I want to get some evergreens in here, clear out a bunch of the trash, but I don't know, man. I think that this is just a little fun structure where people get to learn about it all. I mean, you get to see the plants. We're going to have some growing. Part of what I want to do while we're doing it is get some of the industrial strains out here, because unfortunately these last few years a lot of farmers really flopped because they bought all these varieties from different parts of the world, but they're not calculating their zone. you know. And as of right now, I mean, hemp hasn't been grown since the early 1900s, late 1800s, so nobody knows what grows good in Dallas. Nobody knows what grows good in Houston. They're getting some success down in the Rio Grande Valley, from what I'm understanding, but that strain works there. It doesn't mean that it would do the same thing here. So part of it is, by setting it up as a nonprofit, I don't need a ton to get it all going. It's more so, well, what does work, what doesn't work, what buildings that we bring out here are going to break down faster, what buildings are going to last longer, and then the research behind, now we know for this area what works best. And I just feel like that's a lot more helpful than, hey, this guy has a bed and breakfast, you can go out and smoke some hemp, it's real cool, you know. But the why, the what it can do is really can't stop.
And will you share your vision a little bit?
Yeah. So as far as vision, I mean, I see this being like an educational center. I have some buddies that are in the hemp battery industry, and I told them I'd be more than happy to have them out here. One of my buddies has another nonprofit called Giving Hemp, and I could be saying the name wrong, so my bad, dude. But he paired up with the Dallas Hemp Company. They have their nonprofit out of there. I told him he's welcome to be out this way as well. I see it as a place where people can come, they can relax. If they decide that they wanted to go off grid, if they decide that they wanted a special type of housing, well, instead of just saying, okay, here, build my yurt, okay, let's put this hemp home here, well, now they can come out to mine and they can stay in it for a little bit and they can determine, is this the kind of thing they want? I mean, I'm open to having many houses on site. I'm going to build a couple big buildings for myself, but beyond that, man, it's just, what do you like? Let's play with it right here on this property, and what can we do with it, you know?
And what's your why behind all this?
My daughter. I mean, what really got me into the hemp industry in the first place is me and my girl, we got pregnant, well, obviously not me, but back in Hawaii, and decided that it would be better to raise this child back in Texas where all the family and friends are. So we booked our tickets, had our flights ready, and then the day before that, my daughter had a brain aneurysm. And so I had to reschedule flights. Chance, stop, man. He'll never stop throwing. He'll never, all day long. But we had to reschedule, and so I spent the majority of the next 7 months in the hospital with her. And brain aneurysms are crazy. The one that she had in the back, like 9 arteries ended up going off, caused 4 strokes, 4 major strokes, or something, 2 major, 4 minor. I mean, either way, it's not good. But CBD was one of the only things that actually helped her with the withdrawal process, with all the methadone and all these different drugs that they kept adding her up to. Then it went up to Dilaudid and all that stuff. And so my buddy was already selling it, and that's really what got me interested in it, is being in the hospital, seeing what it did for my daughter and going, well, shoot, what can it do for other people? So we got out, helped my mom open up a store, helped 17 other people open up a store underneath my mom, and she had a second one up in McKinney. It just ended up not making it, but that's neither here nor there. And I don't know, man, just being in the hemp industry, you start saying, okay, well, great, CBD does all this wonderful stuff. Well, this guy's building with it. Well, this guy's making printing, this guy's making batteries, this guy's making insulation, this one over here is making pre-made bricks, some people are making pre-made castings, and I'm sitting there going, well, that's cool, man, but like, it's all one-offs for now. It's not going to be for long. Well, what if we brought that to one location, you know? And then, okay, you want to learn about hemp. Well, what do you want to learn about? Do you want to learn about the CBD side? Do you want to see how it grows? Do you want to learn about the different fiber varieties? And that's what I see this place being for. Another thing that we're working on right now is my grandma, she made, I guess, ex-mother-in-law, whatever you want to call it. We call her grandma. She made some clothing, custom clothing for my daughter, because she's got a trach tube. She's got her gastro tube, so she eats, and she's required on machinery to live, and it allows her to get to these different little things. So all this stuff is just different little ways that we can help out. So, you know, she's got a clothing line that's about to come out soon that's going to be helping a lot of special needs people out. So the idea is to make it out of hemp. I'm doing some testing right now with the lab out of the Houston area, and we're working on a few hospital applications as well. A lot of this stuff that I have ideas from just arise kind of out of necessity. Unfortunately, being in the hospital for a week, my daughter got MRSA, and that's one of the most severe forms of staph infection out there, and it came from the dang feeding tube that they put down her throat. And so it makes me wonder, okay, well, we've got plastics. Can hemp plastics be the answer to this thing? And we don't know. It's all so new right now. So a lot of this stuff is to change the world, you know, but we have to have the testing somehow, somewhere. And I got 10 acres, so we might as well start doing it here. You know, that's kind of my thing. I don't know how it's all going to play out, but it's the future. So, you know, plenty of time to figure it out. That's kind of how I look at it.
We're here with Adam down in Terrell, Texas. He's telling us a project he's building right now, bed and breakfast, hemp oriented. A lot of the build is going to include hemp futures, and he has a little demonstration block on here on how he used a hempcrete. Big angle he's using it for is insulation, if I believe correctly, right?
Oh, for
Would you
sure.
tell us a little bit about how this works?
Yeah, no, definitely. So, you know, hemp, we hear all kinds of things. Most people just associate it with cannabis. And while hemp is in the cannabis sativa family, it is not something that will get you high. In fact, it's not even that part of the plant. This specific stuff that we're dealing with, this is what's called hemp hurd. And they mix it with a lime substance and water and kind of pressurize it. Now, in itself, it's real simple. It comes apart, it falls apart, but it's solid, completely solid. And what's unique about it is it hardens itself. So the lime that's inside of there turns back into a stone-like material after so long. Now, what everyone's working on right now is the dry time, because a lot of these hemp structures that are being built, they build their frame, right? And then typically 10 to 12 inches thick, just depending on what climate you're doing, because it has a high R value, so it's really good at keeping the heat out. Now, a lot of the homes, for instance, one of the ones in San Antonio that's being built, it's more so just to show what you can do. So some of it's not super thick, but there's people using these in the Arctic tundra to stay at the same temperature year round. And so a lot of what's going on right now, you're seeing hemp 3D printing. The 3D printing is different because they're using that is structural, the way that they're building it. But there's tamping and all kinds of different stuff. The problem is that when they build the structure and they let it sit for 6 months because it has to re-harden. So a lot of what you're seeing is pre-made blocks similar to this one that people are working on prototypes. Now, this isn't specifically a prototype. If I was to do one, I'd change a few things about it, and we're open to these different ideas, but more so what I'm interested in is pairing up with people that are already doing how they do it. So some are going to be tamping, some of them are going to have their prefab blocks, some of them are going to have them already aged, and the idea is to get as many different kinds here to determine what works best. Especially here in Texas, we're kind of far behind. Our medical program, I'll be honest, it's a joke. I call it spicy hemp at this point in time because it's a 1% cap, which doesn't exist anywhere else in the country. So we're a little far behind on a lot of these things, and part of doing this video and doing this bed and breakfast is to show people that it's stalk. This right here is not hemp, but we're talking about not the leaves or anything else that grows off of it. What I'm after is the stuff inside of the stem. Break it open, that white stuff right there, that's a type of hurd, and that's exactly what we're going for from here. So the actual stalk of the plant, the fibers, the bast fibers, the Chinese Olympics this year, they actually used hemp fibers to redo the bobsled chutes before having the Olympics there. So we're finding all kinds of different uses. There's bioplastic companies that are coming into it. There's all kinds of different things. And there's videos all over the internet right now of all these amazing things that we're doing with hemp. But as of now, the majority of it are one-offs. The majority of it are ideas or little clips and videos of what you can do, which unfortunately is what we got going on right here until we get everything together. And but it's about showing the many uses. I mean, they're They're literally making disc golf discs right now. They're making putters. They're making wooden boards. They're making equivalents to metal as far as strength and different designs. Some of them are 3D printing it. Some of them are doing it by hand, and there really is no wrong way. I mean, you go to the store and you see anything, light bulbs, whatever you're trying to get, there's 30, 40 different kinds, you know what I mean? So as far as saturation or anything else, we're so far from that right now. We're at the beginning. I mean, there's guys right now making hemp clothing. There's guys making mattresses. They're making all kinds of different things, but not in mass production yet. And so what we want to do here is we want to have these different builds. We want to have all things hemp. We want to grow the fibers. We want to show it for CBD. And we want it to be kind of similar to Gatlinburg. If y'all haven't been out there, I've heard some pretty cool things. And they have some really cool hemp exhibits out that way that I don't know, man. I got a real pretty place out here, and I feel a lot of people would really enjoy coming out, learning about it a little bit. For a while there, I was thinking about getting into, well, I've been thinking about the hemp houses for a while, but we were more so thinking, like, as far as signing up tickets and doing classes and everything else, and that's great, but the longer it goes, it resonates with me less and less. I'd rather someone be able to come out, stay in a hemp building, see that the whole place doesn't smell like weeds, you know what I mean? Like, just knock out a lot of the common misconceptions, because this is a plant. It's the stalk of a plant, and it's fireproof, it's heat proof, there's all kinds of things.
And I do know that right now Adam's looking for any builders interested in a JV to, you know, he's inviting them to his acreage to build hemp build, you know, whether it's using hempcrete, whether it's, as long as it's using alternative construction methods. I believe that's, you know.
I'm open to even non-hemp stuff going on, because, you know, there's so many beautiful things going on in this world right now. They're making clay huts, they're making straw, I mean, so many different types of construction, and I'm open to all of it. If it's natural, I want it here, you know. Absolutely. So there is nobody out of the realm that can't do it. Yurts, some of the plastic dome homes, the geodesic structures, any of it. I'm open to all of it, and it's all about education. It's all about learning, but more importantly, it's about learning what works best in our areas and determining what people want. I mean, the biggest regret for a lot of these houses that people are getting is not knowing what they're getting into. You see many homes for sale on Craigslist all the darn time. They spent $100 grand on it, selling it for 70. They're losing money. Well, what if you had a cool place you could go to and relax and enjoy and learn more about it, and then you got to stay in it before you decided if you were going to get one or not? And that's really what I want. It's about helping other people and education. And what if we had 5 builders out here that had their own unique structures and I could advertise for them? You know what I mean? I'm in it for the daily rates. I'm in it to take care of my daughter. I'm in it to take care of the family and stuff. I'm not in it to retire this mega billionaire or anything else like that. It's about helping people, and that's really what resonates with me more than making the money.
And a fun fact you mentioned also is that you said this was soundproof?
Very soundproof. It's nuts. I was over at my buddy Amos's structure. I'm sure there'll be some future videos over there in the San Antonio area, but it was ridiculous because I wasn't even aware of all the different things. But if the wall was up and I was talking into the wall, people couldn't hear me next to me. Like, I mean, literally right next to me, I had to speak up or literally face them. It blew my freaking mind. And mark my words, man, y'all are gonna see this everywhere soon. It's gonna be in hospitals, it's gonna be in schools, you're gonna see it in classrooms, you're gonna see it all over. I will definitely get another block together and we will do a video of a burn test on it for sure. This is the only one I have built at the moment, but as we got, I mean, we're gonna be getting tons and tons of herd over here in the near future, because I believe I'll be self-funding the first few until we can get some solid proof of concept going on. But especially if any of you 3D printer folks want to go out there, I have some little insights and things that I want to work on out here. This is all clay too, so we can play with clay construction, we can play with straw construction, we can do whatever, but I want it all. I want it all.
Well, that's February 22nd on 2022. Adam, Schaub, right? And we look forward to what this brings to the future. Thank you very much.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
And I'm not thinking we need a big thing for now. I'm definitely thinking that 1 or 2 bedrooms, something like you'd expect to see at a bed and breakfast in a hotel room, is really ideal for us. And maybe a clubhouse in the back made of hemp. Everyone says it's not structural. Well, in, I want to say France, they're building an 11-story, what do you call that? It's an apartment complex, but a low-income apartment complex. So I would imagine that it was a nonprofit building it and everything else, but it destroys the idea that this hempcrete can't be structural. How are you going to get 11 stories tall if it's not structural? Well, the truth is that the building codes just don't know. We haven't built with this stuff for 100+ years here. They've been doing it elsewhere, but allegedly they say lime casting will last just as long as the castles. Some of the castles that are up, and that's really what gave me a lot of my inspiration, is my brother traveling abroad and telling me that his favorite thing was all the Airbnbs and all these old castles now throughout the world is just hunter brooms and $25-30 a night. And it's like, well, shit, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And while it won't be that cheap out here, it's just, who wouldn't want to stay in a hemp castle? Who wouldn't want a clean room? I mean, think about all the hotels that we go into that are just absolutely trash. Like, I mean, the beds, the sheets, the everything, and it can all be replaced with hemp. I mean, like, the furniture, they're making hemp mattresses. The bricks themselves actually sequester CO2 and turn it back into oxygen. And I've heard it both ways, but if it's built right and it's allowed to breathe, it continues to do it. The second it gets clogged off and it doesn't have that breathability, there's problems, but you can cast it, you can put breathable paint on top of this stuff, and I mean...
Fresher air indoors.
Yeah, why not? I mean, inside air pollution's real. I mean, anybody who doesn't think it's real just isn't thinking about it, but like... How often do you look and you see the sunlight peering in and you see all that shit just floating in the air, I mean, it's everywhere we go. You smack the couch and everything comes up. The beds are no much better, and for now, they don't make all that stuff. Yeah. But that's part of the experience here, is to point out, hey, look at all these amazing things that could be done with hemp that aren't being done right now. And ideally, every single thing that isn't hemp here, well, as it comes along, well, let's put the hemp mattresses, let's put the hemp sheets, let's do the hemp clothing. Why not? Because, yeah, our cost is higher for now, but everything's cost is higher when it first comes out, So they've been doing it in China for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Like, we're just not caught up on it, and that's the problem. So, I love all these French companies, and I love all these different companies supplying hempcrete, and it's fantastic. But we need the same thing in our country too. We need it. And it's crazy because we're at a point right now where all these other folks have it, and they'll straight up be like, yeah, I hope you don't do it where you are, because I want to keep selling it to you, ha ha ha. It's like, well, yeah, but we should change that, so thank you, Chance. I really appreciate the stick again. I was worried about that, buddy. Thank you, man. So, here we are, man. You're right at the forefront. I would love to JV with as many people as we possibly can, because this kind of thing isn't just going to happen, 3 people standing here with the camera, but it can start that way.
Hey, thanks everyone for watching. And Adam, thank you so much for having us out here.
Sure.
Yeah, if y'all are interested in hemp or learning more about it, obviously Adam's very well versed on it. He's doing a lot here, a lot out here in North Texas, and it's really interesting to see what's going to happen in the future with hemp.
Sure. So for now, this is my company, Top Shelf Roofing LLC. I have High Cube Construction. We'll definitely be using a lot of my construction company for here. It's unique. So in the meantime, I'm going to be funding everything with my roofing company. But we kind of talked about Sand Wars and everything else before, and if y'all aren't familiar with Sand Wars and the Sand Mafia, please check it out. It is insane what's actually happening right now. My roofing company, for instance, the shingles, that's another major thing that needs
I mean, it needs sand in order to make it work. But every year there's billions and billions of pounds of shingles. They're not being recycled, none of that stuff. It's all going to the dump. So something that we're getting into that you're gonna start seeing progress is we are actively working on biodegradable shingles that can then come off of your roof, nails be stripped, and we can compost it right there in your yard or buy it back from you. And that's what we plan on funding all this stuff. So feel free to check out topshelfroofing.us and track our progress.
All right. Talk to y'all next time.